This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and this is the Huawei Mate 9, their latest high-end Android phone. Now, Huawei's been doing some really good things. We like the Honor 5X a lot, for example. That's a more affordable phone that looks pretty nice, actually. And they did make the Nexus 6P, so they're no strangers to high-end devices. This one is sold unlocked. You can buy it now in the United States. It's a specific U.S. model now. Works on AT&T, T-Mobile, other GSM carriers, including 4G LTE with combination enhanced if you want to combine LTE and Wi-Fi together even. So it's $599 though if you go to Best Buy, Amazon, wherever you want to buy it from. So that's a lot for a phone that you're not buying direct from your carrier. Is it worth it? We're going to find out now. So finally, in the United States, the Mate 9. You could get it from importers before, but now this is the official U.S. version, like I said, available at Best Buy and other retailers. And it's functioning the same phone, but you have LTE bands here that work on AT&T, T-Mobile, you name it if they're GSM. This is not for Sprint. This is not for Verizon. It does not do CDMA, which is a kind of network technology that they use. This is a big screen phablet, 5.9 inches. Wow, bigger than the Pixel XL, which is 5.5 inches, bigger than the OnePlus 3T, also at 5.5 inches. So the impressive thing is it's not that big and ungainly either. And it's a pretty nice looking unibody aluminum metal phone here. You got some chamfers and tapers that break up the look a little bit and make it a little more comfy in the hand, and this is what the back looks like. Very nice, very simple. I would say more attractive than the Nexus 6P was, in fact. Got your Leica branded camera here. This is your fingerprint scanner, dual LED flash, and antenna cap areas over here. It's a nice enough looking phone. We've got the symmetrical speaker grills here. Only one of them actually does the speaker business here at the bottom, and it uses the earpiece as a secondary speaker, much like the HTC 10. As you can see here, USB-C uses that for charging, and it supports their version of fast charging, so it's a quick charging phone. One of the exciting things is 4,000 milliamp battery inside. So yeah, this thing has, as you might expect, very good battery life. Right here is where you poke with the SIM pokey tool that's included, and this has a two bay in the slider tray that pops out here. So you can either put two nano SIM cards if you want in here, not so popular in the United States, more popular in other countries, or you can use that second SIM card slot for a microSD card slot. So that's a good thing. So our phone here has 64 gigs of fast UFS 2.1 storage, and you can expand that using SD cards. It has 4 gigs of RAM inside, and it runs on Huawei's own Kirin 960 octa-core 2.4 gigahertz processor. And as we saw even with the lower end Huawei Honor 5X, the Kirin CPU is actually very fast. They claim it's the fastest phone. It's not. The Galaxy S7 still benchmarks faster, but you know, after a certain point, fast is fast enough on a phone. So the display on this is a little disappointingly, thanks to specs wars more than anything else, not QHD resolution. This is just regular old full HD, 1920 by 1080. You know, that's 373 ppi. That's still very high pixel density. It's absolutely fine to look at. I have no qualms with that. But it does support Daydream VR, you know, VR glasses, and those always benefit from having higher resolution displays. And you got your two little eyeballs via the goggles on the screen there, looking at very small points. The more pixels packed in an area, the better. So if you're really into VR, probably wouldn't be my first choice. You know, go for something with a QHD resolution, a higher resolution display. That said, it is a very pretty display. It is an IPS display. It's not AMOLED, but it's nice and pleasingly color accurate, and they give you settings for like everything here. You can change the color temperature on this. You can change your button layout at the bottom. It's really nice stuff. So if you want it to be a little bit warmer, if you want it to be a little bit cooler, you can do that. It's IPS, viewing angles are good, but as we go off angle, it does dim. So it looks pretty nice until you compare it to something like, here's the Google Pixel XL display, which is AMOLED. Both of these are set to 60% brightness. So the AMOLED display does certainly pop more, and the viewing angles as we do this, you can see, are better on AMOLED. That's just the way things roll. And a direct competitor here in the unlocked, kind of high-ish end Android phone market is the OnePlus 3T. This also has a full HD display, but it's AMOLED. It's not as zingy as the Pixels display, I would say. I mean, that's pretty clear there, but it still has a little bit more pop than the IPS screen here. Now that said, it just literally kind of paled in comparison to some AMOLED displays. As IPS displays go, it's really very nice, and it's actually quite bright too. So you can easily see this outdoors when you're using the cameras, and this has a very nice camera, so that's an important thing. It's running Android 7 Nougat out of the box, yay! And their Emotion UI or EMUI software layer on top. And happily, you can do things like set it to have an app drawer. So for those of you who don't want it kind of Chinese phone maker style, where all your icons are put on the home screen, you can have an app drawer, which is what we've selected to do. And they have a couple of little handy things. So say you're a real app junkie, you've got a little alphabetical helper right here, so you can zip right to what it is you need. Your frequently used stuff is up top right there. The quick settings, nicely done here. You've got all sorts of settings, something that Samsung originally started with, the army of settings here. And like I said, just about everything that you want to change on this phone in terms of UI is changeable. They even have a couple of different icon sets, but honestly, all of them look fairly similar to me, which is that they give this kind of blocky look behind the icons. They don't mess too much with you know, custom third-party icons, that sort of thing. But you're going to have a look that's fairly similar. It comes with a bunch of really lovely desktops and unlock screen pictures too. They really get the idea of the aesthetics of the phone are important here. And by the way, it has a factory screen protector pre-installed on it, and this is 2D glass, so you got a little bit of curve over here, which looks nice. So 4,000 milliamp battery, like I said, very good battery life. It helps that this is a 1080p display. The higher resolution of the display, well, the shorter the battery life is going to be. And the Kirin processor is running very efficiently here as well. So I could not kill this in a day with normal use. And that includes streaming YouTube videos, playing some games, taking photos, shooting video, that sort of thing. I just don't know, unless you're going to spend 4 hours playing Asphalt racing game or something like that, how you could possibly kill this in less than a day. It's pretty impressive stuff. And like I said, it supports fast charging too. The front camera on this is an 8-megapixel camera, and you can see it's getting a little confused because of the studio lights, which you can actually see very clearly here because this is a high-resolution display. And let's get it to focus more on me. That's really sharp stuff right there, so I think that's going to make folks happy. And then we have the usual switcher up top to switch to the rear camera. So the UI on this is very straightforward. I like that, and it tells you when the first time you use the camera. If you swipe this way, you can change all of your settings. You've got a timer, you've got GPS tagging, all the usual stuff. You can go manual if you want to play with your ISO and all that sort of thing, your aspect ratio. And if you go the other way, you've got a bunch of different effects. It's very easy to understand. I think a lot of people actually use this, unlike many camera apps that are just kind of a little too complex. You get the idea right away. You got your night shot, your panorama, your time lapse, your photo, your monochrome. Monochrome is particularly nice because, well, this has that dual Leica branded camera setup back here. Now, Leica often, not often, but has been known to lend their name to various other ventures, not in the standalone camera market where that's their own thing right here. But it doesn't mean you're getting a Leica camera, the $10,000 Leica camera here, obviously, but you're getting a pretty nice set of optics, and they worked on tuning this, and particularly the 20-megapixel monochrome camera on this, which handles detail. Even if you're taking a color shot, it's going to put them both together, the color and the monochrome data, to form a shot. Just doing the monochrome shots is very pleasing stuff. And then you have a f1.2, also color 12-megapixel camera on the back here. The end result is some pretty neat pictures. Now, focusing times in low light, a little iffy, but image quality overall is pretty neat. But first, here's what monochrome does. I did a little artsy leaf picture there. That's kind of just neat, isn't it? It's actually two leaves floating in pool water right there. And you can see it does a lot of heavy contrast, but look at the amount of detail in there. That's actually pretty neat, so you can do some pretty artistic stuff. But you have to be cool with the high contrast mode, which is the way that it rolls. Now there's the color version, which is actually pretty too. And here's monochrome grumpy looking kitty right here. You can see what I mean, very high contrast. So it's pretty much only one look here, but it is a little bit of a retro kind of Leica-y look, and that's nice, and that was taken in low light. A little exaggerated here. I mean, to me, the contrast is overdone, but I think a lot of people are going to like that look. Now, the shutter times under low light, not so good. The cat was not even being frantic, and you can see his face is a blurry mess. And even there, just a little bit of movement in his head you can see. So it's not the best for capturing quick action. But you got a static shot, like I can't tell you the last time this Buddha went running off and I had to chase him to take a picture, i.e. he's static, not a problem. That kind of picture, beautiful, not a problem at all. Good stuff. So overall, the camera is very usable. It's very nice. I wouldn't say it's going to win against the Galaxy S7, but it's going to be enough to keep plenty of people happy. And that monochrome is just really the bee's knees. The rear camera, by the way, can shoot 4K video, and it has optical image stabilization. It does a very nice job, actually, of shooting video. And there's panorama mode, there's slow motion, all the usual bells and whistles you'd expect for a phone that costs $600. Performance on this, again, this is the Kirin octa-core CPU, 2.4 gigahertz for the 4 high-power cores. It also has 4 low-power cores on it. Performance is very good. It's not going to beat the Snapdragon 821 and, say, the OnePlus 3T, which is one of the fastest Android phones on the block right now, or the Galaxy S7, but after a certain point, as I said, you know, how much performance do you need? I don't think anybody really is going to feel the difference between this phone being slightly less. We're not talking a lot. It's up there with all the other flagships and being the very best. There's our Ice Storm score right there. That's a very respectable Geekbench 4 score. On Tutu, you get the idea. It feels fast, it feels fluid. Their UI does not bog things down, so I have no issues with it. Can do the side-by-side multitasking that Android 7 supports. It's a fast phone. Data speeds have also been very good on this. I've just popped in T-Mobile SIM, where we're running right now. It also supports AT&T, like I said, and other carriers, but I didn't have to go through any manual configuration. It just did. We're on LTE, and data speeds are rocking. Call quality on this is good as well. So overall, it's a really good phone. The big problem is going to be, why should you buy this over a carrier phone? Granted, this is a little bit cheaper, certainly, than what you're going to pay for a Galaxy S7 Edge, which would be Samsung's competing big screen phone. It certainly is cheaper than the Pixel XL, which is a very expensive phone. And then there's the LG V20 for those of you who like big screen phones. And that's really a big-bodied phone. And here, just to give you an idea of the difference in the size, even though the Huawei has a bigger screen, it's a smaller bodied phone, so it's compact there. But that's another competitor that is by no means cheap. And again, OnePlus 3T, but that's a 5.5-inch phone. So if you really want something with that big screen, nearly edge-to-edge kind of experience here, it's still, certainly, despite the price tag and no carrier backing to help you with this, an attractive buy. So that's the Huawei Mate name, and yes, that is how you pronounce that company's name. I know somebody always likes to argue about that. It's the nicest $600 Android phone you're probably never going to buy. That's the sad reality in the United States. Now, obviously, in Asia, in Europe, they're doing gangbusters. They're high-end phones, they're low-end phones, and there's a reason. This is actually pretty nice stuff. There's a reason why they're outselling even the iPhone and various Samsung Galaxy phones in overseas countries. But here in the US, I know most people really only buy phones from carriers, particularly if they're spending a lot of money on a phone. So that's why I say that. Doesn't mean you shouldn't buy it. It's a really nice phone. I like it a lot. And it does have competition from the OnePlus 3T, which is less expensive. Of course, smaller screen than this, and you don't get the nifty dual cameras on the back with that monochrome camera that's particularly nice. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this video.